You think you know Savannah Guthrie, the polished co-anchor of the Today Show, the woman who wakes up America with her bright smile, sharp questions, and effortless charm that makes even the toughest news feel a little more bearable. For over a decade, she has been a familiar morning companion, interviewing presidents, sharing stories of motherhood, and navigating personal heartbreak like her divorce with grace and resilience. But what if behind that carefully maintained image there existed something far more complicated? Something hidden for decades, long before cameras followed her life, and before she became the face of NBC mornings. A secret stretching back nearly 30 years. So deeply buried that even those closest to her, her siblings, her former husband, and possibly even her children, never suspected it existed. Not a tabloid scandal or reckless affair, but a second existence built quietly over time, constructed piece by piece while she climbed toward professional success. Now, with her mother NY's disappearance entering its 10th agonizing day, marked by blood on the porch, a silent pacemaker, unanswered Bitcoin demands, and growing desperation, that hidden past has begun to fracture. The call that changed everything did not come from a kidnapper, but from someone who knew Savannah's concealed world intimately, and what was revealed threatened to rewrite everything believed about her life. The unraveling began on a foggy morning of February 10th, 2026. The Guthrie family had gathered in Tucson, operating from a rented house turned temporary command center near NY's empty ranch-style home in the Catalina foothills. Savannah had been awake since before sunrise, reviewing tip reports alongside her siblings Annie and Cameron, while coordinating with Puma County Sheriff's detectives and FBI agents, who had become constant presences in their lives. Yellow crime scene tape still surrounded NY's property like a nightmare, refusing to fade. There were no new leads after the missed ransom deadline the previous evening. Only volunteers searching desert terrain, drones circling overhead, and the unbearable silence surrounding the disappearance of an 84-year-old woman dependent on heart medication and a walker. Around 8:45 that morning, Savannah's personal phone rang, expecting an update from investigators. She stepped onto the patio to answer, but the voice that greeted her was unfamiliar yet hauntingly recognizable. The woman introduced herself as Elena and insisted they needed to speak immediately about Savannah's mother and about everything Savannah had hidden for years. The name froze her in place, tied to a life she believed permanently buried. Sources close to the family later described how Savannah's composure finally broke during the call. She demanded to know how Elena had obtained her number, but Elena responded with details impossible to deny. Specific dates from the early 1990s, private Tucson locations, and even mention of a lock Savannah had once given her. Elena warned that NY's disappearance was not random and might connect directly to their shared past. When Savannah returned inside, visibly shaken, she gathered Annie and Cameron for a private conversation without agents or investigators present. After 30 years of silence, she revealed the truth about the double life she had lived since adolescence. The story traced back to when she was 16, growing up in Tucson after her father's sudden death from a heart attack. Nancy Guthrie became the emotional anchor of the family, raising her children with faith, discipline, and unwavering expectations. She encouraged strength and resilience, urging them to face hardship without complaint. Yet for teenage Savannah, that strength often felt like pressure, leaving little space for vulnerability or self-discovery. During high school, despite excelling academically and preparing for the University of Arizona, Savannah felt confined by expectations of perfection. That changed when she met Elena Ramirez, a 19-year-old artist and activist who organized an underground youth group for teenagers exploring identity outside judgmental environments. Drawn to a flyer promising acceptance, Savannah attended a meeting in 1988 and quickly formed a deep connection with Elena. Their friendship evolved into romance. But in a conservative environment and under NY's strict household rules, secrecy became necessary. Elena introduced Savannah to underground art scenes, activist gatherings, and a freer version of herself. Savannah adopted the name Clark, derived from her middle name, creating an alter ego who attended rallies, wrote poetry, and lived without familial expectations. Even as Savannah advanced through college, law school, and early journalism work, she maintained this hidden world. Trips back to Tucson served not only as family visits, but as escapes into a life where she did not have to perform strength constantly. Elena became Savannah's confidant, the only person who knew her beyond public ambition. They shared fears, dreams, and emotional truths Savannah felt unable to express at home. As Savannah's journalism career accelerated, and NY's pride grew stronger, revealing Elena felt impossible. Savannah divided her life into compartments: the accomplished journalist and beautiful daughter publicly, and privately the woman exploring identity and emotional freedom with Elena. When Savannah eventually joined NBC and gained national recognition, the distance between her two lives widened but never disappeared. Elena settled into a quieter life as an art teacher near Tucson, accepting occasional visits while understanding the sacrifices Savannah believed necessary. Everything changed when Nancy vanished. Watching news coverage, Elena began connecting the disappearance to individuals from their early activist circles, particularly unresolved conflicts dating back decades. Her phone call was not meant as betrayal, but as warning. When Savannah confessed the truth to Annie and Cameron, shock filled the room. She explained how she had lived two lives since age 16, and how her fear of disappointing their mother had kept the secret intact. Questions erupted, accusations followed, and emotional wounds surfaced as siblings struggled to reconcile the revelation with their shared childhood memories. Savannah insisted Elena was trying to help, not harm, suggesting that someone connected to past activism might have resurfaced, seeking revenge or recognition. Investigators were informed, and Elena's name was added to the inquiry, deepening emotional fractures within the family. Later that evening, Savannah sat alone outside, receiving a message from Elena apologizing but reminding her she no longer needed to hide. For the first time in decades, Savannah questioned whether she could exist without the mask she had worn to preserve her mother's approval. As discussions continued, Savannah revealed further details, including protests attended under her alias and an incident in 1992 involving a volatile man named Ricky Torres, who had threatened members of their activist group. With NY's home targeted without signs of robbery, the connection suddenly felt plausible. Annie and Cameron grappled with anger and empathy, realizing how deeply their sister had struggled between loyalty and authenticity. By midnight, federal agents arranged for Elena to travel to Tucson for questioning. Her testimony aligned with Savannah's account, offering concern rather than culpability.